My brother said, "We're family," when he heard the will. I said, "Where was family when Dad was screaming at 3 a.m. and I was the only one there?" Posted to r/true off my chest. I'm sitting in a parking lot outside a law firm, typing this on my phone, because I need to get this out before I lose my nerve. I'm 40 years old, and I just watched my brother and sister's faces crumble when they realized that the easy payday they'd been counting on wasn't coming. They're probably in their cars right now, calling each other, plotting their next move. Let them. I've got 6 years of documentation that says they can try whatever they want. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. The reading. 2 hours ago, I walked into the offices of Morrison & Associates for the reading of my mother's will. She passed 3 weeks ago, peacefully, in her sleep, in the bedroom she'd shared with my father for 42 years. I was holding her hand when she went. Just like I'd been holding my father's hand 2 years earlier when he finally let go. My brother was already in the waiting room when I arrived. First time I'd seen him in person in almost 2 years. He'd put on weight, gotten some gray at the temples. He was wearing a nice suit, probably cost more than my entire wardrobe combined. He looked up from his phone when I walked in, gave me this tight smile, and said, "Hey, long time. Long time." That's what he said. Like we'd just lost touch naturally, like life had simply gotten in the way of our relationship. Not like he'd actively chosen to abandon our parents during the worst years of their lives. "Yeah," I said. "Long time." My sister arrived 10 minutes later, flying in from Seattle the night before. She actually hugged me, which caught me off guard. She smelled like expensive perfume and airports. "I'm so sorry I couldn't make it to the funeral," she said, pulling back, her eyes already scanning the room. "Work has been absolutely insane. You know how it is." I didn't say anything. What was there to say? She'd missed Dad's funeral too. Same excuse. Work. The kids. Distance. Always something. We were ushered into a conference room with leather chairs and a long mahogany table. The lawyer, Mr. Morrison, a man in his 60s with kind eyes and a patient demeanor, had a folder in front of him. I'd met with him several times over the past few years. He knew the situation. He knew everything. My siblings didn't. Before Mr. Morrison could even open the folder, my brother leaned back in his chair and said, "So, I've been thinking. Once we sell the house, we should probably split the proceeds 3 ways after expenses. I know a realtor who could." "Let's wait for the reading," Mr. Morrison said quietly. My sister nodded, but I could see the calculations happening behind her eyes. "Of course. But the house has to be worth, what, $400,000 in this market. Plus whatever savings they had, the life insurance." She looked at me. "You handled all the finances, right? What are we looking at?" 6 years. 6 years I'd given up everything, and this was the first question she'd asked me since walking in the door. Not, "How are you holding up?" Not, "Was it hard at the end?" Just, "What are we looking at?" "Let's wait for the reading," I repeated. Mr. Morrison opened the folder. The backstory. I need to explain how I got here. How I ended up being 40 years old, unemployed for 6 years, sitting in a lawyer's office while my siblings mentally spent money they hadn't earned. 6 years ago, I was doing well. Really well. I was a senior project manager at a tech company, pulling in $120,000 a year plus bonuses. I had an apartment downtown, a girlfriend I thought I might marry, a life that made sense. I was building something. Then Dad got the diagnosis. Early onset Alzheimer's, though at 68, I'm not sure how early it really was. The doctor explained what was coming: the memory loss, the confusion, the personality changes, the eventual complete deterioration of the man we knew. He gave us timelines, statistics, pamphlets. Mom fell apart. She was 65, in decent health, but she'd never handled crisis well. She looked at me across that doctor's office with these desperate, terrified eyes, and I knew. I knew right then what was going to happen. That night, I called a family meeting over Zoom. My brother, living 2 hours away with his wife and 2 kids. My sister, across the country with her husband and her career and her busy, important life. "We need to figure out a care plan," I said. "Mom can't do this alone." My brother sighed, actually sighed, like I was inconveniencing him. "Look, I would help, but Sarah has her job, and the kids are in school, and I can't just uproot everyone." "I'm not asking you to move," I said. "I'm asking you to help. Take shifts. Come on weekends. Contribute to professional care costs. Something." My sister shook her head. "I'm 3,000 miles away. What do you expect me to do? And honestly, I just got promoted. This is really bad timing." Bad timing. Our father was losing his mind, and it was bad timing for her. I looked at both of them on that screen, at their nice houses and their backgrounds, at their comfortable lives, and I realized something. If I didn't do this, no one would. Dad would end up in some underfunded facility, forgotten and alone. Mom would collapse under the weight of it. So I made the choice. If you can even call it a choice. I quit my job. I broke the lease on my apartment. I moved back into my childhood home at 34 years old and became a full-time caregiver. My girlfriend tried to be supportive at first. She really did. But 3 months in, when I couldn't make her birthday dinner because Dad had a bad night, she sat me down and said, "I don't know if I can do this. This isn't the life I signed up for." I didn't blame her. I still don't. But that was the end of that relationship, and the end of any hope I had for a normal life for a long, long time. The sacrifice. People don't understand what caregiving really means. They picture something soft, bringing soup, fluffing pillows, maybe helping someone walk to the bathroom. They don't picture the reality. The reality is your father, the man who taught you to ride a bike, who walked you through calculus homework, who cried at your college graduation, looking at you with blank, terrified eyes and screaming, "Who are you? Get out of my house!" at 3 in the morning. The reality is changing adult diapers, learning how to operate a Hoyer lift, becoming an expert in medication schedules, in blood pressure monitoring, in recognizing the signs of a UTI because those can cause sudden behavioral changes in dementia patients. And the first time it happened, I thought Dad was dying and I didn't know what was wrong. The reality is watching someone you love disappear piece by piece, day by day, and knowing there's nothing you can do to stop it. I kept meticulous records. Partly because the doctors needed them, partly because I'm a project manager by training and documentation is how I cope, and partly because, I don't know. Maybe I knew, even then, that someday I'd need proof. I have spreadsheets tracking every medication dose, every doctor's appointment, there were hundreds over the years, every insurance call, every equipment rental, every supply order. I have a log of every time I reached out to my siblings for help. Can you come this weekend? I haven't slept more than 4 hours in a week, and I need a break. Too busy, sorry. Next month, maybe. Dad's having a really bad stretch. He keeps asking for you. Can you at least call? I'll try, but things are crazy here. Mom had to go to the ER. I can't be in 2 places at once. Please. Is she okay? Keep me posted. That was the extent of their involvement. Keep me posted. I'll try. Maybe next month. Hollow promises and empty words while I was drowning. My brother visited twice in 6 years. Twice. The first time was about 8 months in. He stayed for 45 minutes, looked deeply uncomfortable the entire time, and left saying he had a thing to get to. The second time was right after Dad died, and he stayed just long enough to help me pick out a casket before claiming he had to get back for his daughter's soccer game. My sister visited 0 times. She sent a card once, a generic sympathy card she'd clearly bought in bulk, with a check for $200 and a note that said, "Use this for whatever you need." As if $200 could cover even a fraction of what I'd given up. They always had excuses. Work is crazy. The kids have activities. I'll come next month. Next month never came. Update 1. The first years. People ask me sometimes if I regret it. Giving up my career, my relationship, my life. Spending my 30s changing diapers and managing medications instead of building wealth and a family of my own. The honest answer is, it's complicated. I regret that it had to be me. I regret that I didn't have siblings who cared enough to share the burden. I regret every sleepless night, every moment of despair, every time I locked myself in the bathroom and cried because I couldn't take it anymore. But I don't regret being there for my parents. I don't regret holding my father's hand during his lucid moments, when he'd look at me with recognition and say, "Thank you for staying." I don't regret the conversations I had with my mother, the stories she told me about her childhood, the way she'd squeeze my hand and say, "I don't know what I'd do without you." I found a letter after Dad died. He'd written it early on, when he could still write, when he still knew what was coming. He must have hidden it, knowing he'd forget about it, hoping I'd find it eventually. "Dear son," it read, "I know what's coming for me, and I know you're going to be the one who stays. You've always been the strong one, even when you didn't believe it. Your brother and sister will have their reasons for not being here. Don't hate them for it, they're just not built for this. But I want you to know that I see you. I see what you're sacrificing. And I am more grateful than I will ever be able to express. Thank you for staying when everyone else left. I love you, Dad." I cried for 3 hours straight when I found that letter. I still have it. I'll have it forever. Update 2. Mom's decline. Dad died on a Tuesday in March 2 years ago. The disease had taken everything from him by then. His memories, his personality, his ability to speak or feed himself or do anything but exist. In some ways, his death was a mercy. In other ways, it shattered something inside me that I'm not sure will ever fully heal. My brother came for the funeral. My sister sent flowers and a video message for the service that felt like it had been recorded in about 90 seconds between meetings. Neither of them offered to stay, to help, to do anything beyond the bare minimum. I thought maybe, with Dad gone, I could start rebuilding. Get back into the workforce. Find some semblance of a normal life. But Mom had other plans. Or rather, her body did. 3 months after Dad's funeral, she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Stage 3. The doctors gave her 18 months to 2 years. I remember sitting in that oncologist's office, looking at the scans, and feeling like I was going to throw up. Not again. Not this. Not her too. But what choice did I have? I stayed. Of course I stayed. The next 2 years were somehow even harder than the previous 4. Cancer treatment is brutal. Chemo, radiation, hospital stays, infections, complications. Mom was a fighter. She fought harder than anyone I've ever known, but the disease was relentless. My siblings still didn't come. I called my brother when Mom started hospice care. This is it, I told him. The doctors say weeks, maybe a month. You need to come say goodbye. I'll try, he said. Let me check my schedule. He never came. I called my sister with the same message. She cried on the phone, said how unfair it all was, promised she'd be there. She wasn't. Mom died with me holding her hand, alone in that bedroom, at 2:47 a.m. on a Thursday. I was the only one who showed up. I was the only one who ever showed up. Update 3. The will reading. So there I was, 2 hours ago, in that conference room with my absent siblings, watching Mr. Morrison open the folder. This is the last will and testament of Mom, he read, dated and notarized 14 months ago. That caught my brother's attention. 14 months ago? She changed it. Mr. Morrison didn't answer directly. He just kept reading. The details are personal, so I won't share everything, but here's what matters. My parents left everything to me. The house. The savings account, more than my siblings realized, because Mom had been quietly saving for decades. The life insurance policies. A small investment portfolio. Everything. The room went dead silent. Then my brother laughed, this harsh, disbelieving sound. That can't be right. There must be a mistake. There's no mistake, Mr. Morrison said. He pulled out an envelope. Your mother also left this letter, to be read aloud at the reading. He cleared his throat and began. To my children. I'm writing this because I want you to understand our decision. Your father and I talked about this many times before his mind left him, and we were in complete agreement. For 6 years, one of you gave up everything to take care of us. Career, home, relationships, a normal life. Every day, every night, through the worst moments any of us could have imagined. One of you showed up. The other 2 of you made different choices. You chose your careers, your families, your comfort. We don't hate you for those choices. We understand them, even if we don't agree with them. But choices have consequences. You chose your lives over us. We're choosing him. Everything we have goes to the child who proved, when it mattered, that family was more than just a word. We hope you can find it in your hearts to understand. We love all of you, but we owe everything to the one who stayed. Mom and Dad. My sister was crying before Mr. Morrison finished the first paragraph. By the end, she was sobbing. My brother's face had gone red. This is insane. This isn't how families work. We're supposed to split everything equally. That's the standard. That's what's normal. I finally spoke. My voice was steady. I'd waited 6 years for this moment. Where was family when Dad was screaming at 3 a.m. and I was the only one there? Where was normal when I spent every holiday alone with 2 dying people while you were at Christmas parties and beach vacations? You want to talk about what families do? Families show up. You didn't. We had lives, my brother shouted. We had responsibilities. You can't expect us to just drop everything. I dropped everything, I said. I dropped everything. My job. My apartment. My girlfriend. My entire life. Because someone had to, and you both made it crystal clear it wasn't going to be you. My sister looked up, mascara running down her face. It's not fair. We're their children too. We loved them too. Did you? When was the last time you told Mom you loved her? Because I was there for her last words. I held her hand while she died. Where were you? She didn't have an answer. Update 4. The threat. 3 days after the reading, I got a call from my brother. I almost didn't answer. We're going to contest the will, he said without preamble. We've already talked to a lawyer. You manipulated them. You isolated them from us, poisoned them against us, and coerced them into changing the will. That's undue influence, and we're going to prove it. I sat down on the edge of my mom's bed. Took a breath. You think I manipulated them? You were the only one with access. You controlled everything, the finances, the medical decisions, everything. You cut us out. I invited you, I said, my voice dropping to something cold and hard. I have the texts, the emails, the call logs. Every single time I asked you to come, to help, to do anything. I have 6 years of documented requests and your documented refusals. You want to go to court? Let's go to court. I'll show the judge exactly who cut who out. Silence on the other end. I also have 6 years of medical records, I continued. Every doctor's appointment. Every medication schedule. Every time I had to make a decision because you two weren't available. I have the visitor log from the hospice center. Want to know how many times your names appear? 0. I have a detailed record of your 2 visits in 6 years. I have. We're still going to fight this, my brother interrupted, but his voice had lost some of its edge. Then fight it. But I want you to understand something. Mom and Dad didn't make this decision because I asked them to. They made it because you showed them who you were. Every missed call. Every broken promise. Every excuse. They saw all of it. They felt all of it. And they made their choice. I hung up. Update 5. The court date. They actually did it. They actually filed a lawsuit contesting the will. Undue influence, they claimed. Manipulation of vulnerable adults. They made me sound like some kind of predator who'd swooped in to steal an inheritance from my helpless parents. The court date was last week. I showed up with Mr. Morrison and 2 boxes of documentation. 6 years of records. Every single thing I'd tracked, organized chronologically, cross-referenced, and annotated. My siblings showed up with their lawyer and their outrage. The hearing lasted about 2 hours. Their lawyer tried to paint a picture of an isolated, manipulated, elderly couple under the control of their scheming son. He talked about how my siblings had been prevented from visiting, how they'd been kept in the dark about medical decisions, how the will change was suspicious. Then it was my turn. I presented the text messages. Dozens and dozens of them. Can you come this weekend? Dad's having a hard time. Too busy, work thing. Mom's in the hospital. I could use some help. Keep me posted. Thinking of you. Dad's in hospice. The doctors say it's time. Please come. I'll try to make it. Work is crazy. I presented the visitor logs. The medical records. The financial statements showing that I hadn't taken a dime more than necessary for their care. The testimony from doctors and nurses who'd witnessed my dedication and my siblings' absence. I presented my father's letter, written in his own hand before he forgot how. And finally, I presented a video. Mom had recorded it 6 months before she died, with Mr. Morrison as a witness, specifically because she knew this day might come. I'm recording this because I want there to be no confusion, she said in the video, looking tired but clear-eyed. My husband and I made our decision about our will freely and without any pressure from anyone. We are leaving our estate to our son because he is the only one of our children who chose us. The others made their choice years ago. We're making ours now. If they try to contest this, I want the court to know, this is what we wanted. This is what he deserves. The judge looked at my siblings after the video ended. They had nothing to say. The case was dismissed. The judge used the word frivolous. He talked about wasting court resources. He did not mince words about what he thought of their claims. My siblings' lawyer tried to save face, suggested maybe we could settle this privately, reach some kind of family agreement. I said no. Resolution. It's been 3 days since the court ruling. I'm back in my parents' house, my house now, sitting in the living room where I spent so many sleepless nights, so many difficult days. My brother sent me a text this morning. This isn't over. You've destroyed this family. I didn't respond. There wasn't anything to say. The family was destroyed 6 years ago, when I called asking for help and was told, maybe next month. My sister sent a longer message. She apologized, sort of. She said she didn't realize how hard it was. She said she thought I wanted to be the caregiver, that I seemed to have it handled. She asked if we could move past this and rebuild our relationship. Maybe someday. But not today. Today, the wound is too fresh. Today, I'm still too angry, too hurt, too exhausted from years of being alone when I shouldn't have been. I've started reaching out to old colleagues, putting together a resume, thinking about what comes next. I'm 40 years old with a 6-year gap in my employment history and a level of burnout I didn't know was possible. Rebuilding won't be easy. But I'll manage. I always do. People have asked me if I feel guilty. If I think my parents' decision was too harsh. If maybe I should share something with my siblings after all. Here's what I think. 6 years. 6 years I wiped my father's tears when he didn't recognize me. 6 years I held my mother's hand through chemo. 6 years of sleepless nights, of missed holidays, of watching my own life slip away while I kept 2 people I loved alive as long as I possibly could. They visited twice. Twice. Now they want an equal share. No. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. They said I chose to be the caregiver. Like there was a choice. Like someone else was going to do it if I didn't. Like our parents wouldn't have been abandoned in some facility, forgotten and alone, if I hadn't stepped up. They said I manipulated dying people. As if my father, in his lucid moments, wasn't fully aware of who was there and who wasn't. As if my mother, sharp as a tack until the very end, didn't have every right to decide what happened to her estate. They said I stole their inheritance. I didn't steal anything. I earned it. Every sleepless night, every diaper change, every moment I held them when no one else would. I earned it with 6 years of my life that I will never get back. My siblings made their choice. They chose their careers, their comfort, their distance. They chose to say, maybe next month, and I'll try, and keep me posted. They chose to let me shoulder the burden alone. Mom and Dad made their choice too. They chose to acknowledge reality. They chose to reward sacrifice and presence over blood and obligation. And I'm at peace with that. Last night, I sat in Mom's chair, my chair now, and I read Dad's letter again. The one he wrote before he forgot how. Thank you for staying when everyone else left. I'm staying still, Dad. I'm still here. And I'm finally able to move forward. Edit. A lot of people are asking for updates if my siblings try anything else. I'll post if something happens, but honestly, I think it's over. They got their day in court, they lost, and they have no legal ground to stand on. The only thing left is for them to accept reality. Whether they ever do is their problem, not mine. To everyone who's messaged me about their own caregiving situations, I see you. I know how hard it is. I know how lonely it feels. Please, if you can, keep records of everything. Document the help you ask for and don't receive. Protect yourself. And to everyone who's thanked me for sharing this story, thank you. After 6 years of feeling invisible, it means more than you know to be seen. I'm going to be okay. For the first time in a long time, I really believe that. Final note. Someone asked me what I'm going to do with the money. Fair question. I'm going to pay off the mortgage on the house. I'm going to put some away for my own future, since I've lost 6 years of retirement savings. And I'm going to donate to the Alzheimer's Association and a pancreatic cancer research fund in my parents' names. Mom would have liked that. Dad would have too, if he could have understood it. They deserved better at the end. I tried to give them that. And in the end, they took care of me too. That's what family does. Real family. Here's what I learned about family. It's not about blood. It's about showing up. 6 years I wiped my father's tears when he didn't recognize me. 6 years I held my mother's hand through chemo. They visited twice. Now they want an equal share. I quit my $120,000 job. Lost my apartment. Lost my girlfriend. Moved back home at 34 to become a full-time caregiver. Because someone had to, and they made it clear it wasn't going to be them. Every time I asked for help, too busy. Maybe next month. Keep me posted. Next month never came. My brother said, "We're family," when he heard the will. I said, "Where was family when Dad was screaming at 3 a.m. and I was the only one there?" My sister cried and said it wasn't fair. I asked her what she thought was fair, me giving up 6 years of my life while she went on vacations? They said I chose to be the caregiver. Like there was a choice. Like someone else was going to do it if I didn't. Dad wrote me a letter before he forgot how to write. Thank you for staying when everyone else left. I found it after he died. They tried to sue me. Undue influence. Manipulation. I showed the judge 6 years of documentation. Every text where I begged for help. Every excuse they gave. The visitor log, 0 visits from them. Case dismissed. The judge called it frivolous. They said I stole their inheritance. I didn't steal anything. I earned it. Every sleepless night, every diaper change, every moment I held them when no one else would. They made their choice. Mom and Dad made theirs. That's what real family does.